So I hope you enjoyed the first session. I think it was very informative, and I appreciate the candidates coming up and doing it. When they put, the people running for office put themselves through a lot. There are magnifying glasses on each one of them, and so you've got to be very appreciative that we have people in our community willing to do this, whether we agree with them or not, whether we like what they have to stand for or not. So thank you to all of them. Just for the sake of everybody, and maybe wasn't here, for the sake of the people that are watching on Facebook, I wanted to again, thank the Julia White and the Indian River County Council PTA for helping to promote this event and pose questions to the candidates. I don't know who Julia is. Is she here? Good to see you. We've talked on the phone, emailed each other. So thanks for participating. I'm going to skip a couple other things tonight, but we're going to try to do 45 minutes with the candidates here. Try to get as many questions in as we can, so we ask them to be concise with their answers. We've got some questions from the audience that we'll ask on this round. Again, this is on Facebook Live. You can go to facebook.com/tcpalm. Watch the replay on this. We did in the first half have the page up where you can read all the biographies of the candidates. I'm going to repeat that address again. If you want to read the biographies of the candidates, there's 5 or 6 questions to talk about how they're different from the other candidates. There's a lot of good information. I'm not going to repeat those questions tonight. So if there are questions you didn't think that got answered, please go to bit.ly/2018 TC Palm primary. And you can find it on, you go to TC Palm, Google search it, 2018 election, you'll probably find it too. So if you have any questions on that, we'll let you know later on. So we're going to get started right off the bat. We didn't do any bios in the first section because in our editorial board meetings, we rarely do them. Because when we do these interviews, most of us, or all of us, have read everything that's online before we go to the meeting, so we're well versed on this. We realize that those of you that took the time tonight probably didn't go on and read it, so I'm sorry that we didn't give Mr. Wolf and Ms. Schiff an opportunity to introduce themselves before. So we will do that now. We'll start with the online folks first. We're going to give them 30 seconds, say, to introduce yourselves, okay? We'll go this way. So we'll start with Ruben Bermudez, and he's got a little name tag up here that's really hard to see. But he was unable to make it tonight. And I really appreciate, first of all, you guys answering all the questions, candidates. And second of all, that y'all made an effort to be here. And thank you to Ruben and Rashawn for making an extra effort to join us electronically. It's not the ideal situation. Hopefully the audio will work out, so we'll be patient, okay? So Ruben, would you like to give us about 30 seconds?
Yes, how can everyone hear me?
Okay.
Well, my name is Ruben Bermudez. I apologize for not being in person. I am actually in Miami. I had the opportunity to work with this conflict. And in that time working with them, they also need like leadership programs, additions like mentoring programs, for the vision. And on doing that, they take the time, as it's still, all the things that they're in the county, or haven't been there, they take the time to be sure and what you can do very much.
Thanks, Ruben. Yeah, unfortunately, it's very difficult to hear you. Mershawn.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I apologize for being here today. I'm actually scheduled for a certification test. I had one today, and it was completed at 5. I have one in the morning, and then one in the afternoon. So that's why I'm not. Well, my name is Rashawn Green. I'm and raised in Indian River County. Both my parents are born and raised in Indian River County. My mother has been a bus driver 25 years in the school district. My sister is currently a teacher in the school district. I have over 40 family members attending schools in the district, and 14 family members employed by the school district. So I'm really invested in our school district as well as our community. And how I got involved in the school district is last year after the death of Officer Gary Timlis and the murder of Arteria Woods in the SWAT meeting. We had community meetings, and the community stated concerns about our education system. And so me, along with other members of Pioneering Change, decided involved in our school district. I joined the African American Achievement Committee, as well as the Code of Conduct Committee. And I spoke at numerous board meetings. My involvement showed me that our district is not receptive to outside input. And so I decided to run in order to give not only the parents a voice, the students a voice, our support staff a voice, our teachers, as well as the community. In order for our school district to become better, we have to include all stakeholders in the decision-making process. And I'm running because once I get that seat, I will ensure that that happens.
Thanks, Rashawn. So we're looking for about a 30-second intro. Deb?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me all right? My name is Devin Beebe. I have been an academic advisor at Indian River State College here in Vero for the last 7 years. My husband is the son of a 30-year veteran of the Indian River County Fire Department, and I have been involved in nonprofit work since I was 5 years old. And thanks to my parents, i.e. my chauffeurs, who always supported all of my passions and endeavors when I was a kid, I was able to raise nearly $250,000 for charities on the Treasure Coast by the time I was 16 years old. When I see a need, I'm used to going out and fixing it, and that's why I'm running for school board. For the last 7 years, I've been hearing about needs from students and their parents in my office in the K-12 system, and I would like to lend a hand, listen to the community, and help the students and the parents who've been talking to me for the last 7 years. Thank you.
Hello. First, I'd like to say thank you to TC Palm for hosting this event along with the Parent Teachers Association of Indian River County. My name is Jacqueline Rosario, and I am obviously seeking the seat of school board member in District 2 because it is my desire to finally do good by the students of our county and their families. I'd like to just share a little bit as well about my personal life. My husband is in the back. We've been married for 12 years, and our son is in the back as well, waving his arm. Just reached the double digit 10. I have been in education for over 2 decades. I have experience as a teacher and a school administrator. This is not my first roundabout in education. It is what I do. I don't know how to do anything else but to be involved in education. It is my desire that we excel in our efforts for proficiency. It is my desire that we put our children first in our district, that we not put personal issues first, that we make sure that we are fiscally responsible, that we remain with local control, and that we, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rashawn, you got the first question. How would you rate the school board in obtaining input from the public before making decisions? And what changes, if any, would you make in the input process? And this is a question that somebody tonight posed on one of the cards that we had.
I would give the school board a D, and I'm being generous. I was there when people came to speak about transportation, and the citizen input was moved around to basically the end of the meeting. So we all sat there for about 3 hours were able. I am big on reaching all stakeholders and allowing them to be heard. I would change that by engaging the community more. I would have advisory boards such as a parental advisory board, a student advisory board, a teacher advisory board, a support staff board, and a community advisory board. That would cover all our stakeholders, and that would allow them to tell me their concerns. Every month we would meet, and we would discuss their issues, and then we would work together to see how we can remedy that in our educational system.
Thank you. Devin, you got a question? Okay.
I think it's very difficult to rate something that we don't get to see all of. Of course, we can all see the school board meetings either in person or live online. However, we don't get to see the interactions that go on between school board members and members of the community via phone, via online, etc. So I don't feel comfortable giving that a rating. However, I would like to see more public forums where the public does have more of a chance to contribute. And I like the idea of having panels and committees composed of teachers, students, teachers, and other individuals that are affected by our schools to be able to hear from them more in a public arena so that the rest of the community can hear those concerns as well.
Thank you.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, sure. How would you rate the school board in obtaining input from the public before making decisions? And what changes, if any, would you make in the input process?
I would rate the school board a C. I don't think we're doing a good job whatsoever in including the community, in including parents, in including our teachers. Our educational system is not just based on administration. I think that we absolutely need community input on our school business meetings, on our workshops, in our workshops. I actually think that if we were to hear from our community, we'd be able to bring those to action items and then discuss them more. We are elected officials. We are not there for our own voice to be heard. We are there so that your voices could be heard. We need to hear from the people. We need to understand what it is that is concerning you and how we can better address those at our school board meetings and as a whole for our entire district, because you all are our constituents. And most importantly, we need to hear from our children. We would not have a school system if it weren't for the kids. We need to be able to understand what affects the kids and how we can make a better school system for them, not for us.
Thank you. Ruben, we want to try to, hopefully we can hear you this time. I don't know if you have an earphones on, and that would help. Anyway, give it a shot. I don't know if you can hear me, but how would you rate the school board in obtaining input from the public before making decisions, and what changes, if any, would you make in the process?
Communication is so important. We currently have a broken between the school board, the staff. I promise you I'm not changing that. It is time that the public is actually during school board meetings, real and honest feedback happens immediately. I would like to see another meeting not for discussions, where we all board members, we want to become teachers, students, and we can give them their questions are coordinated. Larry, was that better?
It was inconsistent. You're cutting. I appreciate the fact that you spoke slowly. The volume was good, but it seemed like you were cutting in and out at various times. So I don't know if you had 4 bars or 2 bars, but you were inconsistent. It was hard to hear, but it was a little better.
Okay, I will try this.
We'll go to the next question. We'll start with Devin on this one. We hear campaign promises that are broken after the election all the time. What assurance do we have from you that yours won't be another broken promise?
I think the best way to ensure that you don't break a promise after a campaign is that you don't make promises that you can't keep. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I can change things that I know I can't. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I can change things that I'm not sure if I can. The best I can say is that my reputation hopefully says all it needs to say. I've been at the college for the last 7 years, and when I tell my students I'm going to do something, I do it. And when I tell my supervisor I'm going to do something, I do it. And the same goes with all of the nonprofit work that I've taken part in our community. Thank you.
Devin?
I mentioned before in my introduction that I am an educator, so I think that this is a right opportunity to explain to you a little bit more. I started out in 1992 as a teacher and a school administrator. So that, of course, over 20 years proves my dedication to education. I want to also explain that with my degrees, of course, with my qualifications, being an assistant principal, being a teacher, there is no other way but to provide for you all. There's no option. We cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to say that we are going to do something and then not come through with it. We have to make ways. We have to finally get down to the nitty-gritty and make changes. There are no other options. Sometimes we'll hear people who say that they want to make promises, give promises, but we cannot essentially make these promises and then not follow through with them. So we have to make sure that we follow through with them.
Thank you. Ruben, we hear campaign promises that are broken after the election. What assurance do we have that yours won't be another broken promise?
Larry, I have very high integrity, and my values and ethics are make a promise that I cannot keep. As Debbie said, I agree with that we make promises that we cannot deliver.
Okay, Vershawn?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm already doing the work. I'm not promising anything that I'm not already doing. For the past year, I have been advocating on behalf of parents and students for free. I have been at the board meetings. I speak up at the board meetings based on the evidence. I am currently serving on 2 district committees. I have studied the budget. I have researched issues in our current districts. I've compared those to other districts. I've compared our FSA scores to other leading districts' FSA scores. I have contacted the equity persons as well as different people that were over programs that are successful in those neighboring districts. So for me, I have a track record already because I'm doing those things. And I have been doing them for free. And I will continue to do those things because I care about our students and the quality of education they receive, as well as our dollars being spent fiscally responsibly.
Thank you. Jacqueline, we'll start the next question with you. How does our school system compare to where it was 4 years ago? And how do we compare to our peers when looking at where they were 4 years ago and where they are today?
Our peers in our surrounding areas, that what you're in the surrounding districts. 4 years ago, we were, I believe, a B district. We are still a B. We have not improved. We are on the same level. Our surrounding districts are pretty much the same thing. We have to see improvements in our school district. Currently, we have 26 schools in our school district. Half of our schools, half of them, that's 13 schools in our school district, have not shown any improvement. That is unacceptable. We have to be able to figure out why these schools are not showing any improvement so that we can make these improvements happen.
Ruben, I don't know if you heard that question.
I did.
Okay.
Our school currently has a B, which is what we had 4 years ago at Jack. What we're not realizing is that every A-rated schools in 5 are charter schools. Doesn't truly oversee it. We our district grade will go. 13 schools have not shown improvement after the summer, so improvement in all our schools. That encourage initiatives to increase educational events.
Okay, thank you. Marshawn?
But we have actually gone down in many areas or stayed the same. For instance, ELA scores for grade 6, we've gone down 10 points. We're currently at 48. In 2014, we were at 58. And also ELA for grade 7, we've gone down 10 points. We're currently at 44. We were at 54. And then other areas like grade 3, we stayed the same. Grade 4, we went down 3 points. Compared to other, STEM is really my thing. So compared to other districts surrounding us, we basically stayed the same, and they've excelled. For example, Brevard is number 2 state now for STEM. Martin County is number 6 in the state for STEM, and we're number 19.
Okay. Devin?
I think what we've seen occurring over the last 4 years is not really a new trend. I think that this has been coming for a long time. If you look back at the decade of 1900 to 1910, the public school system was in charge of 3 things: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Since then, we have added close to 100 other priorities for our schools on top of those. And I think that as a whole, we've taken the easy way out by setting blanket across the board standards where we expect every student to learn the same way, every teacher to teach the same way, and every school to function in the exact same way. And we're seeing this in school districts across the country. I think that the only way to take that turn back is to take the harder route, frankly, and we have to go back to recognizing that each student is an individual. Every student is going to learn differently, and we have to give our teachers the autonomy and the flexibility to be innovative in the way that they serve our students. And if we provide that same autonomy to the principals, then they can be the leaders that our teachers need as well.
Would you like? Oh, did you answer? Oh, okay. All right, you're up. Ruben, you're up. Can you tell us how you feel about the Hope Scholarship Program? In part, it gives students who suffer harassment, bullying, or violence in their public school the option to use vouchers to attend a private school of their choice. Duty? That's my speaker. Ruben.
Larry, something you cut out.
Okay. Can you tell us how you feel about the Hope Scholarship Program? It gives students who suffer harassment, bullying, or violence in their public school the option to use vouchers to attend a private school of their choice.
I first want to say that it hurts that students are suffering. We have a major discipline problem. We address it immediately. And pro-school choice. Parents have the right to make that decision. And I don't believe any local, or any government agency, work with thousands.
Did you say that parents have the right to make that school choice?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Marshawn?
I think it's great that it gives a student the option to go to another school, so they get away from that hostile. But I also feel like it puts a vague on the issue. Because if there's actually different things going on in that school, then we need to address the issue of the situation.
Okay. Devin?
I think that I agree 100% that the issue of bullying needs to be addressed where it is, of course. I'll tell you this, I was bullied in school. I remember in 6th grade being bullied. And I will also tell you that bullying does not stop when students graduate from high school. People will always talk behind your back, and you will always have to deal with people that don't like you. So I think it's imperative that we work to help our students learn how to overcome that. However, just backing up to the original question, I absolutely believe that parents should have that ultimate choice for their kids. They're paying for their kids to go to school. They should be able to choose where their child goes to school.
I think as an intervention, schools really need to have in place some bullying initiatives. Bullying nowadays has just gotten way out of control. Kids can't even play on the playground without having bullying issues, and it's just really unacceptable. What I also think, though, is that parents do have the right to send their child to whatever school of their choice. I am a proponent of school choice, and I think it needs to remain with the parent. Only the parent knows the best education possible for their child.
Okay, so Marshawn, you're first on this one. What can you do as a board member to encourage teacher innovation and loosen the restraints often placed on a teacher who is required to pace as he's given the course?
I can vote to get rid of the district testing. I spoke with a student at the Sebastian Parade, and she discussed how they have testing every 2 weeks. And so she doesn't really have the option to absorb the information that is being taught because she has to prepare for a test. And it's not just the typical unit testing. There's other testing that is happening in that as well. So getting rid of the district mandated testing will give the teachers an opportunity to a little bit and tailor their instruction to their classroom. And it'll also make the environment more comfortable for the students. They can relax, retain the information, and prepare for tests when it's necessary.
I believe, and I'm just going to go back to a point that I made before, that when we give the flexibility and the autonomy back to the schools, the teachers, and the principals, we see results. I'm not sure if anyone saw the recent article about the school system in New Orleans, but before Katrina, they had the worst school district in the state of Louisiana. They ranked among the worst in the country. After Katrina, when they were rebuilding the city, they decided to rebuild the school system as well. The state of Louisiana removed all of the requirements, all of the mandates, all of the restrictions, They then provided a simple set of standards. They handed them to each individual principal at each individual school and said, figure out how to meet these. And they've doubled their success rate since then. We have to hand it back to the schools because they are the ones on the ground in the classroom with our students. They know what they need, not me.
No one understands how difficult it is to teach a classroom when you have all of these mandates coming down on them. There is no room for creativity in the classroom. Teachers have classrooms of heterogeneous mix-ups. No one in the classroom is of the same level. So I think one of the things that we need to do is to allow teachers some professional development and differentiated instructional strategies so that they can teach different levels in the classroom, but creatively. We need to loosen the reins that we have so tightly wrapped around teachers that keep them from being creative with their students. Something else that I'd like to also talk about is that they're in the classroom, all they do all day long is focus on teaching to the test. That has got to stop. We are over-testing our children way too much. The pressure to teach to the test removes the fun from learning, and now we are restricted in the classrooms. So teachers do not have the flexibility anymore of creating classroom lesson plans that are engaging for students, that are actually at their level, and so removing therefore all of the frustration from them. So we have to return back to the basics of teaching 101.
Okay, Ruben, I don't know if you heard that question. You good with it?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to make sure that our teachers, we're learners. There are standards that people come. They are going to be testing that. With all these testing, teachers, they feel like they have to teach best. That's really wrong. There is no time for any depth. Teachers can actually teach.
Okay, thank you. Devin, can you please give an example from your career when you helped a subordinate reach goals you and he or she set?
Well, as an academic advisor at Indian River State College, we see that all the time as academic advisors. Probably the best example I can think of is I had a student who graduated from high school in Indian River County, and she got accepted to Stetson. And oh, she was so excited. She got her scholarship, she went off to Stetson, and without going into too much detail, there was a bad sexual incident that first semester, and she came home. She was just terrorized, and she didn't think that she was going to go to college. Well, her parents brought her in to see me, and we talked for probably a couple hours that first day, and we figured out that she wanted to be a teacher. So we got her into our teaching program, and I saw that young lady every single semester, and just last year she finished her student teaching, and she got the job that she's always wanted. I'm sorry, she became one of my really good friends, and I think that we need to see the faces in the numbers like that. You know, she wasn't just a number, she was a face, she's a person. And I think that if we do that with every single student, we will see every single student succeed.
As a supervisor, as a school administrator, I have had this situation often, where there were teachers who were just not skilled or not working in some area. I mean, we're not all perfect in all areas. But when it comes to, for example, classroom discipline, I remember one teacher that just needed a little bit of extra help with classroom discipline. So all she really needed was for someone to sit down, listen to her, and help her plan out a classroom discipline plan for her classroom. She created it, she exercised it, she actually put it into play, and and by the end of her first semester as a teacher, implementing these classroom management strategies, she just felt like she was able to conquer the world. It was wonderful. Another opportunity that I had that I want to share is putting together one of my primary responsibilities in a Title I school is overseeing Title I funds. Part of that was actually creating a program where all of the new teachers who needed one-on-one mentorships were actually given an opportunity to come together, and under my supervision, my direct supervision, we led these several workshops once a month for the entire year, with the expectation of actually raising their I suppose their teaching strategies or their skill in teaching. And the plan was to actually retain them at the end of the year so they wouldn't become frustrated and then leave the school system or go someplace else. Now you're talking about brand new teachers into the system. And again, in a Title I school, it can be pretty challenging for them. But through this one-on-one and through my direct mentorship with them, and through all of the strategies that we had in place, they actually, all but one, remained in the system, remained in our school, remained in a Title I school, and all were successful. They all understood what was expected of them for their mid-year evaluations, for their end-year evaluations, and they were all able to meet the expectations set for them and also increase achievement along the way for their students. So it was an incredible, successful opportunity, not just for me, but for them.
Ruben, can you give an example from your career when you've helped the subordinate reach goals you and he or she set?
Yes, absolutely. As a former law enforcement officer, I was a training officer and I had many instances where I trained a new officer to actually come off the program and be an officer on their own. But that is not the one that I really want to explain. The one I really want to explain is when I was a school resource officer, I mentored many kids, and one child that I remember was struggling with math. And I love math. I took him into the office with me and I tutored him every day during his math course. And I'm proud to say that now he graduated high school and is off to college on seeking a math degree.
Thank you, Ruben, and we can hear you much better now. At least I can. Okay, see you started first that time. One, two, three, four, Rashawn. So Devin. Oh, Rashawn hasn't answered yet. Sorry.
No. Before I went to law school, I worked at Indian River State College as a financial aid advisor. And I would encounter many students that were in high school who felt that they could not go to college because their parents did not have the finances. I would sit down with their parents and discuss the different options available to them, as well as the system with filling out their FAFSA in order to go to college. Many of those students could not go full-time, so we would have a meeting and develop a plan where they could go part-time, because we knew that their Pell Grant and other funding would assist them with that. And then they would achieve the grades necessary to get additional scholarships, which I would also help them look for those scholarships so that they could go full-time. So just to see many students coming from under-resourced families and being first-time generation college students and able to go to college because I assisted them brought me great joy, as well as hearing about their success stories with getting their grades and graduating and starting families.
Jacqueline, we'll start with you on this one. This may be our last question before we do a little, you have an opportunity to close up. So, what would you do to ensure the public has access to public records at the school district so delays and costs do
on the public's ability to learn more about their district?
Well, we have open meetings. All of our school board meetings and all of the agenda items are posted online. We have a records request office that supplies all of the records that anyone publicly requests, of course. Personally, I would be available to anyone who has any specific information. They can call me up and they can ask me anything that they want. Anything that I can possibly give them, I would absolutely give them under total transparency. There would be nothing that I would hide, nothing that I would keep from the public. If they need anything with regard to data, they can absolutely request the data. We would provide the data. I would provide the data. And if I did not have that on me, I would absolutely find someone to provide it for them.
Thanks. Ruben, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. Our public records now at the district takes way too long to get. We need to make sure that we have enough people in place to answer these records requests. There needs to be some maintenance of it. It needs to be done quickly before there's an issue.
Okay, thanks. Marshawn?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. What would you do to ensure the public has access to public records so delays and costs do not cause a chilling effect on the public's ability to learn more about their district?
Okay, as I stated earlier, I would have those different advisory groups. So I would meet with them and we'll discuss a lot of information as. I also plan to have a website just to keep the community informed on different things that is happening in our district. I will be posting information there. So when it's information, we were just discussing the budget. They will be able to go to my website and see the budget posted there. Other information that is being discussed in our school district will be there. I plan on posting information that will be pertaining to the agenda will already be publicized. For instance, with this code of conduct and the dress code, that should have been publicized more. Different changes that occur in our districts needs to be out, needs to be vocalized, and more than just one locale. And that's what I plan to do, because it's time that we increase the transparency and allow all stakeholders to know what exactly is happening in our district before final decisions are made.
Thank you. Karen, do you have, want to answer that question?
How many of y'all have made a public records request before? How many of you have had to wait more than a day? More than 3 days? More than 5 days? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry? Yeah, more than 10 days. Who's had to wait more than 10 days? See? And pay for it, right? So I will start off by telling you that as a strong proponent of fiscal responsibility, one of the first places I always look to cut the budget is at the administrative level. Again, giving it back to the people on the ground floor. However, when it comes to getting information to the public, that's somewhere that we can't afford to cut corners. Again, we are public servants, elected officials, if elected, and we have the obligation to get that information to you in a timely manner. So I would say that that's somewhere that we need to look at, and that you shouldn't have a waiting period like that, especially for something you're paying for. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's time we'll give you each about a minute or so to sort of say anything that you haven't had an opportunity to say, sum it up, whatever you'd like to say. And we'll start with Ruben.
Yes, I first want to apologize for these issues with my technology here. But as you guys can see, I think that we all have a common goal, and it is for the better of the kids. I want to point out a couple of differences between myself and the other candidates running for District 2. I'm the only candidate in District 2 that actually has kids in the school system. I'm the only candidate as a business owner that has dealt with budget. I promised to be a full-time board member. Others have said the same. And I'm also the only candidate as a former school resource officer that has first-hand knowledge of how to keep our children and district staff safe. I asked for your vote on August 28th and even before during the early voting. Vote Ruben Bermudez Jr. for District 2.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Rashawn?
First off, I'm the only candidate that is a business owner. I have MDG Advisory Group, which you can take a look at mdgadvisory.com. Secondly, what distinguishes me from the other candidates is that I have been in the weeds the last year and a half. There will be no learning curve with me once I'm on the board. I have been doing the research. I have studied the issues. I have studied the budget. I have already contacted numerous districts in our state that are leading our state, and I understand what is necessary in order for our district to excel. This is my home. This is my community. I'm the only one born and raised here. My sister and I both receive academic scholarships from our public school education system. My brother received full academic scholarship from his private school education. And even though we attended public schools in this district, we still have the same educational opportunities that our brother's private school education afforded him. That standard is no longer being offered today. As your school board 2 representative, I will make sure that I hold the board accountable and also the district accountable, and that I keep you informed. And I just would like to thank TC Palm for inviting me to be here today from Skype. I'm glad that I can be involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here tonight and being informed. As I mentioned earlier, I've been giving back to the community since I was 5 years old. And that's why I'm here right now. That's why I'm running, because I see a need and I want to address it. I've been hearing it for the last 7 years, and when I started researching what the students were telling me, I started looking at ways to potentially make improvements, and if elected, that's going to be my goal. All of my students felt like numbers when they were in K through 12. That is my primary goal, and if elected, at the end of my term, I would hope that my greatest accomplishment is going to be greater student success, because they didn't feel like a number anymore. I encourage you to review all of the candidate bios, and thank you for your time.
I am the only candidate in District 2 with educational experience. I have a bachelor's in social science with ESOL education, which is English as a second language. I have a master's in school supervision and administration and a master's in special education with a concentration in deaf education. And most recently, I have attained my master's in divinity. Obviously, I love learning, but I love sharing the learning. I am the only one in this district, in this run here for District 2, that can give 100% of my all to this position. I am not divided with full-time work, so this position will be it. I want you to feel secure and know that as someone in education, I will have the expertise and the experience, the qualifications to get into the schools with day one and start working right away. I don't have to have the learning curve as most of my opponents would in learning the lingo, learning the acronyms, learning the statutes, learning what it happens in the school building, how teachers actually work in the classroom, and the like. I'm the only one who has had school building management experience. I'm the only one who has run a school building budget. So I understand all the dynamics that happen in a school building, not unlike my opponents. I want you to feel secure and safe that with me as your elected official, the job will get done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the board for coming up, Fran, for running. Thank you for for paying attention, and we'll see you guys back in about 10 minutes.